Let's make sure we protect each other's mental space. If you ever need me, just call. I'ma come running, give it my all. Love is love, God wins. Keep your vibrations high and watch how your blessings.
We've been journeying in the wrong direction this whole time. We've been journeying outside of ourselves. Why?
Rough to wise, talk to him.
Spent a long time on here pushing out knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Maybe this is the year right here. Energy. Go within. There's something inside. We gotta do better collectively, you know? Right? Energy. Go within. There's something inside. We gotta do better collectively, you know? Energy. The first stage is realizing that you are. That's the first step. Confront yourself. Realizing that you are. Energy. Spent a long time on here pushing out knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. They can't put negative notions on us. Think about it. Great things is happening, whether they want to believe it or not. Maybe this is the year right here. This is the year for it right here. Right? Energy. Go within. There's something inside. We gotta do better collectively, you know? Go within. There's something inside. We gotta do better collectively, you know? One's image of oneself should be greater than reality. Don't let nobody tell you that you ain't great, because you are.
Rough to wise.
Energy. We've been journeying in the wrong direction this whole time.
Salutations. You know, listen, today's lesson, and I want to talk about, you know, energy, frequencies, and why we choose Atlas. I say we because I speak for a collective. I speak from a collective for a collective, right? And a lot of people are a part of this collective, whether they know it or not, because it's a conscious connection, right? And some people, they live in their subconscious, right? So it's hard for them to realize how connected they are to someone else outside of their self, outside of their bloodline, outside of their family, right? It's hard for people to understand the spiritual connection that I constantly speak about over here. These people, you know, the concept of this reality is based off of carnal thinking. So when someone comes along and they're trying to, you know, teach and show a spiritual way of thinking, a spiritual way of being, right? Because that's what you are. You're a human being, right? But really, you're being human, because human is an experience, right? So you're sharing a human experience. In that time, you're being human, right? You're having a human experience, right? So people don't realize that their state of being is changing or has changed. You're not always in the same state of being, right? So people go through multiple phases of being. That's what makes you multidimensional, because you're shifting beings. Sometimes you're being mean, sometimes you're being nice, sometimes you're being you, right? So it's always these different beings, right? These are energy flows. These are energy flows. Greetings, namaste, ashe, salutations, salam, peace. So when we get into this, we have to stop thinking how we previously known to think. What's going on with you? How's everything? Hope all is well. You know, how we used to think, we can't think that way. We have to approach this with a new way of being, right? So we can't think with the old mind. The old mind done showed to be frivolous based on the information that was provided to us, for us, or given to us by whoever it is that decided to give out the information at the time, right? So it's got to be a new way of thinking, a level of unity that is beyond, the physical mind, right? A connection that is beyond the physical, right? That's what a universal consciousness, that's what, the connection is supposed to be, a oneness, right? Despite your human mistakes, but despite your human differences, you still are connected consciously with a oneness. And I think that's where we get lost at. A lot of people get lost because they want this oneness to be connected to, a certain family, a certain bloodline, a certain color, a certain group, no, all of us are connected in this oneness. We all came from the same source. The soon as we realize that we came from that source and we realize that source is consciousness, the better we're able to shift our consciousness. Let's read for a second.
The Oraphim are the original representative founder-guardian race's specialized blueprint forms that were used as a prototype body for the 6D indigo family of consciousness that source from the universal Melchizedek lineages. The blueprint bodies were stepped down in frequency as the 3D consciousness human forms were not able to hold the genetic material of a full Oraphim consciousness. The Oraphim blueprint is a Lyran-Sirian shapeshifter consciousness that has the ability to biologically transmute itself in and out of a dimensionalized time matrix. It also holds all threefold founder flames, are the primal sound fields of the blue ray, gold ray, and magenta/violet ray GSF, and direct the spectrum of frequency of all of the founder races of the Christos consciousness. It is a full rainbow crystal matrix being. The male Oraphim form carries a stronger electrical field and specializes in electrical field transmission, while the female Oraphim carries the magnetic field and specializes in magnetic reception. Together they have the greatest ability of any biological race to transmit and receive the threefold founder flame, founder frequencies or GSF, to structurally repair the universal blueprint bodies all the way down to our density. They are the keepers of the universal time matrix, and the capacity for them to begin their creational purposes in genetic repair is now being revealed. 1. Code of the Blue Nile.
Now, you might be confused with everything that you just heard. To some of y'all, all y'all heard was wah, 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 right? Let me break it down to you. It just broke down to you the energy of the mother, the energy of the father comes together to make the energy of the son, right? Now, these are two energies coming together to make a third energy, kind of sort of like the Trinity or the story of the Trinity. But they're saying that these energies take place many, many dimensions above us, right? But it has the ability to reach the carnal plane because it's a massive amount of energy. Now, scientists might say this energy is what created the Big Bang Theory. Zachariah Stitchens might say that this is the planet Timoth running into the planet Anubaru, right? Many different stories can be said about these two energies coming together to form what we know of today as our central sky or our galaxy, right? So, however you look at this story has been told repeatedly over and over and over again throughout the history, to the point where we came up with a physical walk of this known as Jesus Christ, Immaculate Conception, right? So the story was repeated and told so many times that we came up with a physical story for what takes place inside the body and outside the body simultaneously at the same time that this planet Nubaru and Timoth is running into each other. It's the same time that the feminine energy and the masculine energy has reached the pineal, right? So the same thing that's taking place inside the body also has an operation outside the body. That's where the words as above, so below, as without, so within comes in. Okay. So imagine the same thing that's taking place outside of your body also taking place inside of your body. So if you're experiencing a human existence where a war is taking place outside of your body, then that means a fight is also taking place inside of the body. Because everything that we go through down here is considered to be our spiritual expression, right? So the feelings and emotions that we keep on experiencing is considered to be a spiritual expression in the form of human behavior. Now, if we were in a different form besides human form, that action might look different depending on what energy you're building up in your vessel, right? I can't say how a lion builds up the energy to roar. I don't know what that energy is because I'm having a human experience, not a lion experience, right? But the energy that is inside of us has shared a multitude of different experiences down here. This is where attributes come in. This is where your creative, your characteristic traits come in, right? All the energy that is in your vessel has accumulated different variations of characteristic traits that usually follows you throughout all of your existences, right? So if you come from an energy of kindness, that no matter how many vessels you are put in, that energy will take over the vessel. You get what I'm saying? If you come from an energy of love, eventually, no matter what vessel you're in, that loving energy should reflect in a loving action, right? Because that's what you're accumulating. That's what you're building up, different variations of energies. And then your expression of that energy comes out in your actions. That's why the Bible says that you're supposed to know a Christ being by their deeds, their actions, their works, because they're building up Christ's energy inside of them or Christ's consciousness inside of them that is going to change the way that they operate, right? They're going to be of Christ, become of Christ, start walking like Christ, example of Christ, right? I'm sick of all of these demonic ass people faking like they're of Christ. I'm sick of all these religious people doing the most fucked up shit in the world, but because they end it with in the name of Allah or Inshu Allah or Wallahi, they can get away with it. Look at all the fucked up shit Rakai and them is doing, but they Wallahi their way out of everything. Look at the shit that Kai Sanat and them is doing, but they Jesus Christ up out of everything. They're not shaping the way of this world to be in a respectful image. They're not honoring their mother, their father. They're not upholding no commandments. They're not keeping the peace as if the religion that they are practicing is required. The Muslim religion, it's a peaceful religion. Why don't we see people practicing that? Christian religion, it's a forgiving and loving religion. Why don't we see people practicing that? How can we see a world where people are taking these titles but are not reflecting anything of what the title is? You got mothers that not reflect like mothers. You got fathers that are not reflecting like fathers. But everybody's an asshole. Everybody's reflecting a dickhead. Everybody's traumatizing the monetized. Everybody's bonding over traumas. Everybody's participating in the fuckery and the bullshit. But everybody's a good person. How the fuck is there so many good people in this world, but there's no reflections of this goodness that they say is in this world? Make it make sense. The only reflections we see is YOLO. The only reflections we see is everybody for themselves. The only reflections we see is money rules. The only reflections we see, you got to survive. Where the fuck is the gratitude at? We lost it. We lost it. Look at who y'all favoring in this world. Y'all not favoring the good people. Y'all not favoring the righteous people. Y'all not favoring the intellectual people. Y'all not idolizing knowledge, wisdom. Y'all idolizing alcoholics. Y'all idolizing the people who have no control over their own life because they gave it to the spirits that is in that bottle. The addicts. All the people that's practicing gluttony, sitting there, mug bucking it up, eating a bunch of food for no fucking reason, just for clicks and views. All this NPCing out here now. Life done became that boring that people just online NPCing, or did they want to escape reality? They didn't want to fall victim to companies and corporations and so on and so forth. Watched our grandparents give their all to companies and corporations and came out with nothing. Pension gone, retirement funds gone. We watched this take effect. We watched what happened. We watched it for generations. We watched the veterans go out there and put their life on the line, only to come back to a country that allows them to sleep on the street. Don't even give a fuck about the veterans. If they don't care about the people that's fighting for the country, what makes you think they care about the people that's in the country? But here we are. Here we are. All this pride, all this ego. Don't even realize that they don't even give a fuck. Like kids. Just constantly taking an ass whooping, just saying, I love my dad and my mom no matter what. Until they whoop your ass again. Shoot. Shoot. I love them. I love them. We're fucked up. We're glutton for punishment. Let's get into the lesson. Let's listen, and then we'll talk.
The blue ray is a gestalt of 4 universal harmonic layers of the universal families of blue ray consciousness, the universal Melchizedek lineages that incarnated as the 12 Essene tribes or Essenes. There are 3 primal order sound fields that make up the ray aspects of our universal creation, and the blue ray is of the first order of emanation. The highest order of the blue ray family emanate from the 13th circuitry gate of the Mother of God aspect, which is the first layer projected from the 0-point universal God core. This first order blue ray family are the esoteric 144,000 genetic timekeepers of our universal time matrix and is known in the Egyptian and Syrian histories as the Code of the Blue Nile. Many galactic wars throughout human and non-human extraterrestrial history have been waged for gaining control and access to this code, which holds essentially every genetic key that allows access into the kingdoms of God, or the God worlds. 2.
Now, you might be thinking, what are they? What is this? What is it talking about? Okay, well, let's put it like this. There's a reason why in every Marvel movie, Earth holds so much importance in the galaxy. There's a reason why, Superman was sent here and they came here looking for something that was supposed to be hidden on this planet. There's a reason why, the Silver Surfer comes and then supposedly disasters following him for some type of energy that is being used or manifested. There's a reason why right now America holds a lot more power than other countries based off of the amount of energy that is being pumped in our country, right? So we are utilizing the energy that is coming from the population. The population is creating this energy. If you don't believe me, go talk to your weatherman. Go talk to somebody that studied the weather, right? They give you a percentage of how many people in such and such populated area is going to see rain. It might say something like you have a 70% chance of rain. And you're thinking, well, there's a 70% chance that it's going to rain today. That's not how they do the math. The math is based off of that populated area. And it is said that 70% of the people in that area will see rain. You might be in the 30 percentile that don't see rain. Now, how can they analyze this if they're not analyzing the people in that population, if they can determine that so many people in a area will see rain versus the people that don't see rain. Because this is like saying that 70% of the people in that area thinks it's going to rain tomorrow. Therefore, 70% of the people in that area will have a reality where it's raining. This is why phone call conversations is always different. Where you call somebody who's probably not that far from your house and you're like, hey, is it raining up there? Nah, it's not raining up here. Oh, it's probably about to move that way. No, that person wasn't thinking about rain. But now that you asked them if it was raining, sure enough, the rain is going to move their way because you put it in their fucking mind that the rain is coming. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Ones in the chat if you get what I'm saying. Though a man thinketh, though shall it be. That's why you're supposed to protect your kingdoms of your heaven. You're supposed to protect what somebody's putting in your ear. Protect it. The algorithm show you it. The algorithm shows you how your vessel actually operates. They hear, the algorithm hears what you're talking about, and then all of a sudden it starts popping up on your feed what you were talking about, right? That's the same way your body operates. You hear certain shit. You hear about Kmart, and then all of a sudden you riding by Kmart with the urge to go to Kmart. Now I use Kmart because Kmart's no longer around and they don't really do the Kmart commercials no more. So I use Kmart as an example. But do you get what I'm saying? It's a reason why McDonald's, Burger King, and all these other fast food places use certain colors because the study of colorology exposes that yellow, red, and these other colors that they use, they're known as food colors. So when you see red, you get hungry. When you see the color yellow, you get hungry. If you mix them together, that's why the McDonald's M is what? Red and yellow. That's why KFC is what? Red, black, and white. These are colors that they're playing on your mind through colorology, through numberology, through subliminal messaging, through different variations of it. It's all manipulation of the mind. Our minds are being manipulated on a regular basis. It's like a water cooler conversation, a conversation at the water cooler. People are planning stuff in your mind. You go home. Oh, what am I going to watch? Oh, yeah, at the water cooler, they was talking about this show. Let me go ahead and watch it. Everything is heard through the grapevine. The only difference is back in the day, we used to plant positive messages on each other. You know, where do you think the Aristotles came from? Where do you think the Platos came from? These were people who were probably going around always speaking with an enlightened tongue. You know? Excuse me. All right. So let's get into the 12 tribes of Israel because this is important. Sorry about that. So the 12 tribes of Israel was way more important than what y'all gave it credit for. The 12 tribes of Israel, also known as the 12 zodiac, also known as the mystery 13, also a part of the tree grid, also a part of your DNA. This was the 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel is every strand of your DNA. Each 12, the 12 ladder strand of your DNA is the 12 tribes of Israel. The zodiac signs that are in the sky is the 12 tribes of Israel. As above, so below, as without, so within. If you can't find the connection to the sky or the galaxy and a connection inside the vessel, then it's probably not real. This is why Christianity and the Bible will win out, because it holds a connection to the sky, to agriculture and to the body. When you look at some of the terms that are in there, Sodom and Gomorrah, we know sodomite or to sodomize someone is something around the anal area, so on and so on. We know Gomorrah is abbreviational word of gonads, which is your nuts. So Sodom and Gomorrah holds a place on the body, right? We know that the body talks about pineal, or the Bible talks about pineal, right? We know that the pineal is a place on the body. We know that they change certain words like Galilee, or the place where Jesus was crucified. We know that these words were changed. We know that in Greek, crucify actually means to multiply. It don't mean to unalive. We change that to crucify to mean unalive or die, right? We changed that. Mankind changed that. The Greek had it as to multiply. So according to the text, he multiplied on Galilee, and that's a part of the brain, right? We know that the Bible says, though a man thinketh, so shall it be. You can't think outside of your body, so you're thinking inside your body, right? That's another reference to inside the vessel, right? The Bible says that, he who is inside of you is greater than he who is in the world, right? That's pointing inside to you right there, right? So there's many different things that point to inside the vessel. The 144, stringing the 144 harmonic light bodies together. This is, if you go into chromosomes, you will see that you have 144 chromosomes. Even though you're only operating 23 of those chromosomes, you have 144. Just 23 of them is in operation, right? And they don't want to let the proper light in this world that's going to spark, the fire letters that are going to open up the rest of the DNA. They don't want to do that because it will change the structure of the world that we live in if our DNA or the awakening of the DNA was to happen.
The Emerald Founder records reveal that there are 12 Essene tribes which make up the entirety of the collective human gene pool, or are the descendants of universal tribal shield that has been originally incarnated onto this planet from the future timelines of Terra. Each of the 12 tribes are genetically key-coded to their demographic planetary gate's location and to that planetary dimensional sphere and its ley line network. When we incarnate onto the planet, we have genetic time codes in our DNA related to the planetary gate's dimensional system that is a part of our main human tribal identity. We activate our human tribal identity personal planetary keys when we activate our inner Christos by running the 12D ray, stringing 144 harmonics throughout our light body, otherwise called the 12D shield. That identity has had many lifetimes that have participated with the consciousness evolution cycles of assembling DNA codes in the angelic human root races evolving throughout the solar system. The original 12 Essene tribes were seeded on the Earth as a part of the evolution plan that was the result of the Covenant of Paleodor, to rescue the lost souls of Terra, making it easier to reclaim these identities when the stargates finally opened during the end of the Ascension cycle. 1.
See, now, a lot of y'all might not even understand what you just heard again, right? But if I was to break it down, it's saying that these 12 tribes was placed here on Earth to prepare us for the ascension cycle. It was trying to prepare us for a time to come. They were preparing us for the Aquarius sky. They did not know when the Aquarius sky was because time didn't exist. You couldn't track it like that. All you had to do was read the signs, read the sky, read what was going on. So they knew how to read it and everything like that. They just didn't know what time it was going to come. Everything was supposed to be in preparations for when the door opens, when the ascension door opens for the stargates, for us to reclaim certain identities that belong to us, right? This is why you see people right now going through identity crises. That's what's happening right now. You see a lot of people going through identity crises because they're having a hard time claiming their original identity. They don't recognize their self anymore. So now that our original energy has entered back into this plane, it's knocking on your vessel door like, yo, hey, I'm supposed to, hey, what's going on? I'm supposed to live here. This is supposed to be my place of residence. And you like, what? I don't know them. That's a stranger. That's you. That's you. That's why a lot of y'all keep getting chased by shadows in your sleep. Darkness keeps on chasing you because there's a side of you that you don't want to accept. You know, we are mysteriously and wonderfully made, but you have to accept all of you. Some of y'all walk around doing wicked shit, but don't want to accept that wicked shit exists inside of you. That's why you can't conquer it. That's why you can't beat it. That's why you can't defeat it, because you don't want to admit that it's there. And what was the devil's greatest trick? The devil's greatest trick was making you believe that he didn't exist. And he wasn't talking about him as in the devil, because every religion believes that the devil exists. So who did they make you think didn't exist? If that was the greatest trick of the devil, it had to be God. The devil's greatest trick is making you think God don't exist. I want you guys to think about that, because every religion believes that the devil exists. We know the devil exists. We say, get behind me, devil. And every time somebody do something, they say, man, that was the devil. The devil got to him. Right? So we know the devil exists. So who did the devil make us think didn't exist? Because they fight over that every day, the existence of God. I'm telling you, I'm wiser than what y'all give me credit for. I'm so much wiser than what
Previous to
y'all
the
give me
Atlantean
credit for.
cataclysm, each of the groups of the angelic human 12 Essene tribes were entrusted as guardians of a section of the Emerald Founder records, which held extensive consciousness knowledge about the star origins and genetic template information that was recorded on 12 holographic discs. All 12 genetic components of the 12 tribes hold one strand of DNA code for reassembling the crystal gene for the diamond sun body or silicate matrix that is key-coded to activate the 12 layers of the planetary Stargate system. This provides the means to contact our higher stations of identity as spiritual bodies, and to connect with the conscious living light and sound frequencies in the holographic matrix. The instruction sets to rebuild and reassemble the 12-strand DNA pattern are held in the genetic keys found in the cosmic Crystalla blueprint, which makes up the 12-tree grid manifestation template. Through the individual and planetary spiritual ascension process that takes place during several root race evolution cycles.
So this is what they're talking about, all right? The 7 root race evolution cycles, right? So we have went through 5 of these evolution cycles already. We went through these cycles already. Lumerian's DNA strand was placed on this planet. The Atlantean DNA strand was placed on this planet. So if you guys go back and you see an old map of like the United States, you'll see like North America, South America, and then you'll see like where Hawaii is supposed to be. You'll see like a Lumerian landmass, and then where you supposed to see like the Bermuda Triangle, you'll see like the Poseidonus, which is Poseidon Island, which was where the Atlanteans was, right? If you see these arrows, it's arrows that's pointing to different continents. They're trying to say that these were migration points. Like, so they're saying like the people of Atlantean, when their civilization went down or whatever, the people migrated towards like Florida and all of those areas and a little bit of Africa, you know, over there, whatever. And then like the people that are Lumerian, they went to like California and all that little area over there, you know, South America, so on and so forth, because Lumeria and Atlantis was places. This was during the Atlantis cataclysm, right? The Atlanteans, they were peaceful people who had knowledge beyond measures. They were promised this from the universe. The universe said as long as they stay at peace, they will have untold knowledge, so on and so forth. And they did that. Poseidon worked hard for this. You know, he had 5 sets of twins, Atlantis, Atlas being his oldest set, you know. but this goes back to a time where we had the 10-month calendar. That's why this story was told by Plato during the time that we had 10 months in our calendar. Later that changed when you add July and August, and then the story changes from that, right? Because the time of Atlantis, this was supposedly a time where two suns operated the sky, so on and so forth. In fact, if you go into like the Christianity, like Christians, and you do the whole walk of Christ thing, they say Christ visited Egypt, during this time. But let's get into these races, right? You got, Hyperboreans. This was when the Polaris, these are seeds that are still inside your body. These are seeds that will awaken in the DNA of our body, right? And then the procreation after these seeds awakening will bring the next form of being. You get what I'm saying? Like species or aliens or something. We don't know that these things awaken, and we don't know what event is going to take place on Earth that is going to change our DNA, because what don't kill you makes you stronger. So we don't know what event is going to take place down here that's going to change the seed that is going to, cause this future event, supposedly, allegedly.
The 7D Earth Gaia. Root Race 1, 7D Earth. Root Race 1, Polarians. Root Race 2, Hyperboreans, antiparticle double to the Polarian race. Seeding 2 and Seeding 3. 3D Earth, 5D Terra, 7D Gaia, art by Omnilove 3. The 5D Earth Terra and 3D Earth. Root Race 3, Lemurians DNA Strand 2. Root Race 4, Atlantean DNA Strand 3. Root Race 5, Aryan DNA Strand 4. Root Race 6, Muvarian DNA Strand 5. Root Race 7, Paradisian/Uniceti Strand 6, Future Earth.
All right, now, Root Race 7, we haven't seen this yet. All right, we seen the Aryans. We know we seen the Aryan timeline. That probably was during, like, Hitler or whatever, you know what I mean? We don't know, because that came out of that area, that Aryan, bloodline, whatever you want to call it. So we seen the seeding of a lot of this. So we haven't seen like the future seedings. We haven't seen the future seedings. The future seedings haven't happened yet. Why? Because they're blocking certain growth that is supposed to take place inside your body, right? And through some type of color, sound blockage, they are blocking the frequency that your body is supposed to grow in these operations. Yes, they gave us a physical clock telling you that at the age 7, you can go into the first grade. At the age 14, you can go into high school. At the age 21, you could drink. At the age 28, you're probably coming out of, some form of college, going into a graduate school or so on and so forth. By 32, you're thinking about kids or having a life, so on and so forth. By 40, you in debt. By 50, you retire. By 60, hopefully your kids is off to wherever and you get to go out in peace. Whatever the fuck timeline that they say mankind is on. But your body and the vessels inside your body has a different frequency. This is the Matrix timeline. So this is why I get into the conversation of the cradle of Lyra, right? Back in the 90s and stuff, they started making these movies. Y'all remember Cradle to the Grave, right? That's why they changed that movie to Cradle to the Grave instead of Cradle of Lyra, right? During the Orion Wars, this is why they gave you Men in Black, and they was looking for the keys to Orion, right? Because it was during the Orion Wars, right? During the AI wars, right? They gave you movies like Terminator, shit like that, right? This stuff was taking place in other dimensions, not here. We only got the thought of it. because that's the only thing that can transfer is the energy. The thought can come down and be manifested into this physical plane. So thought would have to come in first. And you can go back to Plato's idea of thought or where thought comes from, because this goes back to the God source. So if you go back to like Plato and you know the theory of thought, idea of thought, so on and so forth, it goes back to a secretion, a essence, the same thing, 12 tribes of Essenes, so on and so forth. It goes back to a God source inside the body. Also, you know, thought ran wild at one point, so on and so forth. Minority Report. Okay. That falls in because they're saying that you have a pre-notion of what it is that you're going to do, because everyone has a dialect within inside themselves, whether you want to say you do or don't. You're just not operating out there in the moment. When someone plans to do something, it is in the mind first. The same thing the Bible says. It's in the mind first where you sin. You sin in your mind first. See, I can look at a butt, right? And sin might not operate when I look at a butt, right? But when I look at that butt with lust, that's where sin operates at. So it takes place in the mind first. One can look at someone undressed and not have a perverted thought, but because we're in a world where everything is always perverted, you constantly have that way of linear thinking because it's in the world. Everybody goes around and makes these jokes and nobody says nothing. It's normal. We wasn't saying nothing when Ellen DeGenerate was joking with a 13-year-old Justin Bieber about how she wanted to get him alone and all of that stuff. Everybody joked about it when we watched this stuff happening when they were kids. I was in the foster care system and I was joking about it. You know what I mean? I was giving adults lap dances in group homes and shit like that, not thinking of the magnitude of what it is that I was being a part of, or however you want to look at it. Why? Because it's groomed into us. Once you accept it, that's the only way you can fix it. Once you start coming to the realization of this, then you can start making things to fix it. Like once I realized, like, oh snap, like, so the idea of this world is what's like basically structured in us. Like men walk around and they don't really think like men. They think like how a woman trained them to think a man is supposed to be. Do you get what I'm saying? All these men running around talking about something. Oh, we got to do this and we got to do that. Who told you that? Your mama? A woman crafted you in the idea of what a man was supposed to be down here. Not blaming women. You know, I'm not blaming women. I'm just saying somewhere down the line, a grandmom or a mom had a factor in it. It was a woman. It was feminine energy that told you how a man was supposed to be. It wasn't masculine energy that told you how a man was supposed to be. Why wasn't it masculine energy? Because that man was groomed by a woman in his life that told him how a man was supposed to be. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Even your dad was groomed by a woman to be how he's supposed to be based off of some woman. Everybody was under knowingly structured by feminine energy to operate down here. You were told by feminine energy how to operate down here, whether you was a man or a woman. Feminine energy ruled that time. And feminine energy operates in secrecy, operates in the dark. It is the moon. It is literally sin. So that's why we was in a time of unknowing. We was in the dark. But now we know and we still ain't doing better. Make that shit make sense. How are we in a time of knowing and still ain't doing better? We out of a time of unknown. We out of the dark age. How we enter a time of light and everybody's still doing what was done in the dark? Huh? Make that shit make sense. Y'all still operating like y'all operating in the dark. We not in the dark times no more. Why you think fucking even Dodo Bird, P. Diddy changed his name to Brotherly Love when we exit out of the dark age? Even his ass was trying to fake like he wanted to be better. Oh, I'm Brother Love now. We out of the dark age. Thank you, Cassie, for helping me through the dark age. Why the fuck you think they did all of that? Why you think Jay-Z and them started? God did. They counted us out. They didn't believe. God did. Why you think they started doing that at that time that they started doing that? Because we was coming out of the dark age and they was all fighting for that energy. They all wanted that energy, that knowledge from the universe. Because the universe don't give everybody knowledge. Universal knowledge is not for everybody. I can explain something to you until I'm blue in the face. And if your brain ain't on the wavelength to comprehend, you ain't gonna get it no matter what. That's why they couldn't figure out what Christ was talking about when he explained to them the mysteries of this world. That's why they didn't get it. That's why to this day they still don't get it. To this day they still can't make it through that wall, through that Stargate. Oh, they getting a lot of shit from the Stargate, but they ain't making through the one they want to go through. See, all these people know that it's conscious. All these people know it's like Earth is conscious and it's constantly breathing, and Gaia is stretching out further and further and further. Every plasma that's out there is awakening now. The plasma that's around the moon, the plasma that's around the earth, the plasma that's around the sun, hell, the plasma that's around you is awakening if you allow yourself to feel the ether. Why do you think I constantly sit on here and put out knowledge and wisdom? Because I want the universe to know that one of us is still working. The Bible says that if one of us, he won't destroy us. If one of us, that's the promise that he gave to Abram. That's why we're under that. Because he promised Abram that if one of us in Sodom and Gomorrah is still seeking knowledge and wisdom, that he won't destroy us. All it takes is one. That's why I keep sitting on here and pushing out knowledge and wisdom to show the universe, hey, I'm still journeying for it. Oh, they're blocking me from reaching a collective, but I'm still individually having gratitude and journeying for knowledge and wisdom, despite how this world wants me to operate. I still want knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I yearn for it. I thirst for it. Socrates said, do not be afraid to question the world that you are in. That's what makes a wise man. Having the audacity to question. Even Christ questioned. When Christ was young, they said, we're going to teach you about the alpha. Christ said, you teach me about the alpha, I'll teach you about the beta. They whooped his ass for it. Why can't you say, if you teach me about the beginning, I teach you about the end? How I get an ass whooping for that? That's the same thing when I was a kid. My grandma told my cousin one time, that boy hit you because he like you. Boys just have a funny way of showing love. I said, Grandma, don't tell her that, because now she's gonna think every boy that's whooping her ass love her. My grandma whooped me for that. What the fuck I get a whooping for telling the truth? Now we in a society where women think they got to take an ass whooping in order to say that man love them. He only did it because he loved me. That's your grandma told you that dumbass shit. Okay. I'm sorry. I digress. Almost went overboard. All right. So the conscious mind, the matrix, personal linear reasoning ego, that's in your solar plex. So all that personal, all that ego, that's in your solar plex. A lot of y'all couldn't get out of the environments y'all were in unless y'all operated in y'all pride or ego. You know what I mean? Like some of y'all couldn't get out of the environments that y'all were in unless y'all operated in pride or ego. So that pride or ego that you operated in is what's trapping you now, right? It's like when you play basketball and the basketball coach was like, You got to use that. When the other team talk smack, when they put you down, when people tear you down, da 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 da, you got to use that. Let that. That's building your ego. That's building your pride. That's not building true character. That's not. That's not. That's shit. That's shit. But we build our vessel on that. You know what I'm saying? We shape. Yeah, I'm trying to listen. Listen, you're going to watch as we get closer and stronger in spirituality. It's like the flesh gets more shaken and fearful. So you're going to watch them, and you're going to watch like on a grand scale the operation change. Like when you don't know what they're going to do because they're in fear. They're in fear of the direction of the world. They're in fear of what the world's going to be, so on and so forth. So they're in fear. So when you watch like what actually takes place, you're going to be like, damn, damn. But it's as we get closer and closer toward spiritual awakening.
Seeding 1, the 7D Earth. Huge war broke out over this first root race seeding called the Electric Wars. It was a conflict over the dominion of the Earth realms and human, Christ, kingdom. Race war conflicts ensued over the genetic mutations and damage that was caused by explosions and other races' subsequent evolutionary and genetic digression. Elohim and the founders renegotiated to ensure that human species evolution would continue but would be sealed off from the higher realms as to protect the higher dimensions and entities from all of the distortions and genetic mutations that had occurred in the human race. Humans would have to clean up their mess to be allowed access to their cosmic families again. Our bodies were sealed off and we were separated from our 12 DNA consciousness, and this distortion to us created a separation between our antiparticle and particle selves, meaning we now experience separation and duality. Many more distortions to human species blueprint and consciousness occurred through subsequent seeding and evolutionary rounds.
Wait, Obsidian
This
from the
also meant
game?
we would experience separation and awareness of the other aspects of.
That's Obsidian from the game? No, I'm sitting here thinking about gooping and shit right now. I'm sitting here thinking about the arc. Oh, TikTok. Yeah. I thought you were over there when I was playing the game, though.
Of ourselves, including our light body layers.
That
To begin the healing of our fragmentation, we would begin by unifying our stations of identity and its layers of consciousness through the time fields, dimensions. During our repeated incarnations, we would begin the unification of our consciousness by starting to draw in our Lemurian fragments and
Okay, I know who you are.
Chakra 2 and our Atlantean fragments through our 3D/conscious minds. The human 4D astral body would also draw in third and fourth root race fragments, as a part of the separated emotional body that was created from these distortions in our morphogenetic field blueprint from DNA damage. So another task for human race is that we are responsible to collect the fragments of ourselves from the other root race cycles and seedings. Seeding 2, the 3D Earth.
So right there, it tells you what our task is, right? So when it says, so another task for the human race is that we are responsible to collect the fragments of ourselves from the other root race cycles and seedings. So the root race cycle and seedings is your chakras. This is where your shadow work comes in, right? So you are to collect your root chakra self. You got to collect your sacral chakra self. You got to collect your throat chakra self, your heart chakra self. You, as a human being, you are in charge of your vessel. So you have to get control over these different cycles of yourself, right? This is why they change anger management to managing anger, realizing that anger management doesn't make sense because anger will always exist. So the only thing you can do is manage that anger. Like always give it an outlet, a seeping outlet. Like when my kids was younger, right? Because I knew I had two boys, right? When they were younger, I used to take them to break stuff. Like, cause I would move and stuff like that. So I would take them to break stuff. It was called like shot, right? So they wouldn't break it, I would break it. But I knew that, this was like one of those things. Kids can be destructive or constructive, right? So I gave them a small outlet. I'll take them somewhere and I'll break like a bunch of dishes or something. Like, what should we do with this? Shot, and then I'll break it. Or, I'll be like, what should we do with this? It'll be an old clock or something. I'll be like, shot, and then I'll break it, right? So I was showing them like a better way of transgressing that or managing that, of which could be anger, right? Now, on another note, a lot of y'all manage y'all anger by taking it out on somebody else. Y'all go make somebody else feel bad. I learned how to manage my anger by making other people feel better. So, like, the worse I feel, the better I try to go make somebody else feel. You know? Even if it comes down to me going to buy somebody food at the grocery store or whatever the case may be, like the worse I feel, like especially if it's financial shit. Like if it's financial shit, then it's like if I can't, you know what I'm saying, if I can't get my like bills paid, let me go help somebody else pay their bills. Look, I'm short $80, right? You short $30. Why we both gotta suffer? Here you go. Take this 30. At least one of us got off. Right? That makes so much more sense.
Syrians, Sirius B, hosted this seeding of human race. Eye of Horus, a stellar bridge used to bring in consciousness to incarnate. Root races 3 to 5 attempted to seed onto the earth. Melchizedek race families came in to help to repair genetic digression around this time approximately 35,000 years ago. Violations by the incarnated Melchizedeks using earth portals incorrectly around the Egyptian dynastic timeline unleashed a lot of dark energies onto the earth's surface.
Now you might say, like, what portals did they use? Well, the portals that they used was one, this was the time that people started, anal, but the Egyptian timeline is the time that they started utilizing the mummification process. So this is where the incarnates come in. This is where the mummification process come in. This is where embalming the body comes in, taking the body out of the, blood out of the body before putting it back in the ground, all of that. That's around this time that this started taking place, So this was causing a lot of dark energy on the earth's surface because of this false operation, right? We no longer go back to the dust from which we came because we're born in fire. You don't see none of that stuff going on. Even the concept of being embalmed is bullshit because they take the blood out of the body before they embalm you. You get what I'm saying? So before they incinerate you, whatever. So it's still all bullshit. It's based off of bullshit. But because we're so manipulated by our feelings and emotions, we don't even question it. We don't even question what happens to our loved one's blood, once it's drained out the body. We don't question, whether organs and stuff was taken out at the funeral home. The funeral parlor is the ones making the most money. They get to make money off of you for grieving, and they get to make money off of selling the corpse and selling different body parts and all of that shit, selling the blood. So, like, we don't benefit from shit in this world. We are literally, I ain't gonna use the term, but y'all know.
This was not purposed by the Melchizedeks, as it was a part of their intended plan to integrate the Anna template from the damaged planetary fields that had resulted from the Atlantean explosions of the grids during the previous root race seeding. Unfortunately, there were some miscalculations and other genetic issues that raised a serious breach of planetary Templar security. The Templar is the Stargate portal system of the Earth that opens into the 12-dimensional levels of the universal time matrix. For this violation, seals were placed on the 6th and 7th dimensional access in our DNA coding, preventing physical ascension out of this realm. This became a curse on humans as it was genetically inbred through the generations. When the human consciousness was no longer a threat to the planet's or universal security, the seals are lifted and assistance is given to release them. During the end of second seeding, the Anunnaki started breeding with humans and a race called Nephilim was created. This was not agreed upon to genetically tamper with the human race, and the Elohim would not let this race walk on or be on the earth. This created a conflict and another war broke out. This created the war with the Anunnaki and other Anunnaki sympathizers, such as the Drax and Syrian Anunnaki hybrids. The war ended this seeding attempt and we reorganized for the next evolutionary round. Seeding 3, 3D Earth. We are in the 5th root race cycle and are here to heal and unite with all of our fragments from the previous root race cycles, and well as to activate our 4th DNA strand.
See? So right now we're in the 5th cycle. The 6th cycle will reveal itself in the 7th cycle, so on and so forth, but we have to heal all of the previous cycles. Okay, so once upon a time we were all Nephilim. We did fucked up shit. Once upon a time we were all Draco. We did fucked up shit. Once upon a time we was all Anunnaki hybrids. We did fucked up shit. Okay, I'm sorry for doing fucked up shit at a time that I'm unaware of. Do you apologize for doing fucked up shit at a time that you were unaware of? One's in the chat if you apologize for doing fucked up shit at a time that you were unaware of. Okay, look like y'all making this healing process a little bit harder than I thought. You want me to tell you what you did? Oh, y'all must want me to tell y'all what y'all did. Y'all must want me to tell y'all what y'all did first. Huh? Y'all want me to tell y'all how y'all messed up the DNA strands and how y'all started manipulating the sun and the energy and how Tamit became. Y'all want me to tell y'all? Y'all want me to tell y'all the story? Okay. Okay.
Terra and Tiamat aspects were companions in a binary star system in the higher dimensions. See Tiamati. Binary star systems are common for ascending planets with advanced races. Tiamat's explosion and destruction in the 5D universe, along with the planetary cataclysm of Terra, is the reason our planet Earth descended and has an artificial satellite, which is the Moon. The 5D Earth planet Terra was a sister planet to another 5D planet known as Tiamat, of which her bodily remnants are located in the 5D universe as the asteroid belt that is between the planet bodies known as Mars and Jupiter. The planet Maldek is the counterpart of the bodily remnants of Tiamat in the 3D universe, of which the asteroid belt exists between Mars and Jupiter. This means that the asteroid belt we see in the 3D universe is Maldek's exploded planet, and the asteroid belt in the 5D universe is Tiamat's exploded planetary body. The asteroid belt with its comets move in a retrograde orbit, as does Nibiru. The asteroid belt has remained in the approximate place in the solar system as the former planet, Tiamat in 5D, and Maldek in 3D. Tiamat was essentially the Turan 5D Earth body twin planet, and her consciousness was captured into Phantom Matrix and tethered to the Nibiru planet trajectory in order to stabilize its orbit in our 3D solar system. This Anunnaki alien architecture between Tiamat and Nibiru is called Wormwood, which is used as an ET outpost, and its main structure is attached to planet Earth in the 11th Stargate net in the United Kingdom, Stonehenge area. Nibiru is also called Marduk by the ancient Babylonians. The ascension cycle transpiring on 3D Earth gives us the opportunity to reclaim these 5D fragments and consciousness pieces that were exploded and damaged in these cataclysms and extradimensional wars.
Do you get it now? We've been warring for a long time, people. It's like the answer to everything is blow some shit up. That can't be the answer. You guys have been doing this since you destroyed knowledge previously. Remember, we had a war on words. We had a war, they were fighting for knowledge in this world. They were tearing down libraries, the Library of Alexandria. What do you think was taking place in the universe when they were tearing down libraries? Probably this whole galactic war where they were taking knowledge out our DNA. So down here, it showed in the form of us tearing down museums and so on and so forth. You get what I'm saying? Because it's duality, as above, so below. So as above, this battle was taking place, but below, the reflection or the acts of the world showed in a war over books and words and museums and so on and so forth. Right? All right. So let's get into a time of Marduk. The time of Marduk is very important because this goes to the Black Sun, this goes to the Draconians, this goes to the Baphomet, some of what they talk about, to this day. It's the reason why Zeus Network is Zeus Network. Would you like to get into that? One's in the chat. I mean, just how deep do you guys want to go? Huh? How deep do you guys want to go with this?
Marduk is from a satanic hybrid Anunnaki lineage called Omicron that aligned with Necromadan Nibiruian forces in order to seize control over the Giza Stargate during the Luciferian Rebellion. This faction has been primarily focused on the systematic extermination of Celtic Druid Magi Grail lines by organizing strategic Essene massacres and then tracking, killing, and assuming the identities of founder Christos beings, such as Ezekiel. Through the installation of a succession of Marduk-controlled Babylonian kings in what is present-day Iraq, they created an empire that settled around the Middle East for gaining control over the main 2D, 4D, and 10D stargates. It is from this timeline that we have non-human hybrid entities connected to this Marduk Omicron bloodline incarnating as satanic-controlled Middle Eastern rulers and power elite global players based upon their ongoing genetic modification and grooming them into blood cults. 1.
Now,
Nibiru and Marduk.
now,
Nibiru is the Sumerian version of the same planetary
now,
body
now,
also
now,
called
now,
Marduk
now.
by the ancient
Hold
Greeks.
up 1 second, because we got to make the connection, right? This is going back to Middle Eastern rulers and power elites. Now, we just had something major just be revealed to you in the operation of all of this, right? They say that they put trackers, right? Organized strategic Essene massacres and then tracking, killing, and assuming the identity of founder Kratos beings, right? Now, I can be all paranoid and say that, this sounds like what people are trying to do with me on YouTube, taking my, intellectual properties and at the same time trying to place a false image on me as they pretend to be me. I can say that, right? But I want to go bigger. I want to go bigger. What just took place with Charlie Clerk and Turning Point? Didn't they take out a Kratos figure and then placed someone that they wanted to be in the image of him to carry on his likeness? Huh? Identity thieves. Didn't we just talk about this the other day with Constantine and the identity thieves?
Marduk is from a satanic hybrid Anunnaki lineage called Omicron that aligned with Necromadan Nibiruian forces in order to seize control over the Giza Stargate during the Luciferian Rebellion. This faction has been primarily focused on the systematic extermination of Celtic Druid Magi Grail lines by organizing strategic Essene massacres and then tracking, killing, and assuming the identities of founder Christos beings, such as Ezekiel. through the installation of a succession of Marduk-controlled Babylonian kings in what is present-day Iraq. They created an empire that settled around the Middle East for gaining control over the main 2D, 4D, and 10D stargates. It is from this timeline that we have non-human hybrid entities connected to this Marduk Omicron bloodline incarnating as satanic-controlled Middle Eastern rulers and power elite global players.
And isn't that what's happening right now with Trump and the oil? Trump is saying that he's taking Greenland. Trump already took Venezuela. He's already seizing oil tankers. He's telling Russia and China, y'all can buy the oil off of us now. We're not letting y'all take Greenland, so on and so forth. And he's doing it from what power elite group? Iraq, because what's going on, or Iran, whatever the hell's going on over there, he's meddling in the Middle East, creating a table over there that he's the CEO of, right? The power elites group. This is taking place right now in our timeline. Now, they say that this might have took place in a different timeline, but I'm pulling y'all up to speed on why you can see this right now in our timeline. Stay with me, okay? Stay with me. I'm telling y'all, the stuff that I reveal to you, you're going to see it start in this world. You're going to be like, oh shit, he was right. He was right. He was right. This is why we got to get to the small homestead groups, right? So that way, martial law takes place, right? Rations take place, right? Guess what? You're already growing your own crops to feed a small community, right? When shit hit the fan, you don't want to be unprepared for it. Take the next 7 years before 2030 and get yourself around the people that is going to self-survive. It's going to look good for the next 7 years with them pushing technology and them using the advancement of technology, and how they just went in Venezuela with 20 people and only 8 helicopters, but took out hundreds of people because they were using drones and so on and so forth. So it's going to look like America is doing great for the next 7 years. I'm telling you. But get to the homesteading. Get to building small communities. Get to a group of people and have one teacher teaching them instead of what you see in schools right now. The schools right now is structured to put your kids in either prison or corporate world, right? There's only 2 places that your kid is going in the school system now. That's what they're preparing them for. 3 meals in a cot. 2 might be hot.
The power elite are a small group of people who conjure black magic through dark rituals that are used for maintaining contact with the NAA, in order to control the entire planet through the manipulation of the collective consciousness through fear-based programming that is transmitted via mind control. To reinforce the fear programming and keep the population in a vibration of fear and separation, they organized in complex system of global institutions to act as the primary enforcer of the propagation of the disinformation that they use to influence people to self-enforce the belief systems that shape the controlled narrative of the 3D reality. The power elite are known to also be referred to as the Dark Cabal, controllers, or those entities running the shadow government. There are
Now, if you go back to the backdrop that I showed y'all yesterday, we showed y'all this already. We showed y'all this. If you go back to the backdrop that I put up the other day, right? This one right here, we showed y'all this. You can see this taking place. You can see this cluster up operation of disinformation, fake social media accounts across platforms, posing ordinary citizens, divide, the conquer. We see this taking place. We see it. Huh? We see it. Why are we acting like we don't see it? Y'all don't want to point it out. Y'all don't want to point it out. This is how it is controlled through propaganda, through Medusa's head. This is how it's always been. What is, always was, and always will be. We can go back to a time of gladiators, and I can point this same operation out.
Are 5 pillars of the main structures that use anti-human control which influence all planetary affairs. These pillars of society are manipulated to shape all world organizations through the agenda of control enforced by the power elite classes. Power elites or controller. Military industrial. Intelligence agencies, covert groups and government. Religious academic financial medical. Controlled media and press.
Yes, it's in to install massive fear through a chaos program. Yes.
In choosing one of the main pillars of society, religious, academic, financial, medical, we can see how even though these areas of different belief systems feel completely separate and opposed from each other, in reality they are not. They are used interchangeably to appear in diametric opposition to the onlooker, but that is not how they actually work. They all have the same underlying goal to reinforce each other to manipulate power to be given to the top of the chain. Divide and conquer mentality to continually create victims and victimizers is how all of these pillars of society work. So let us choose the academic world for an example. Current mainstream atheistic science forms the current parameter of the collective accepted belief systems in the academic world, which further direct the consortium of world organizations which impact human and planetary affairs. Science promotes atheistic consensus and barbaric medical practices, while religion promotes spiritual terrorism and war through hellfire and brimstone of the alien gods. Both make massive amounts of money for the financial, medical and military sectors with the primary goal to invest in controlling human beings. Effectively, they are all functioning components of the same thing. 1.
I mean, should we keep going? I'm telling y'all, like, I can take y'all through the depths of this, because you're watching it. You're watching it. It's a trick. This is why I always say the world is one big stage. This is why I keep on repeating the same thing. I myself, listen, you will not get me caught up in this shit because I know what it is. You're trying to put people in shame and guilt and fear, right? So it don't matter what you do. Someone's going to come along to try to make you feel shameful. Someone's going to try to make you feel guilty. Someone's going to try to play the blame game. Someone's going to try to play victimizing. Someone's going to. These are the operations of this world. They're going to overlook anything that they might have done to you. They're going to, rule out whatever it is, pick and choose what they want to choose from, so on and so forth. I'm at this point in my life, I don't even care anymore. Because I realize the operation depends on every individual. You get what I'm saying? So it's up to every individual to master their vessel. I can't force the next person to be a master of their vessel. I can't force the next person to do that. I can't force somebody to want to have control over their self. I can't do that. They have to want to have control over their tongue. They have to want to speak life into this world. They have to want this stuff. I can't do it. So when people say, oh, what do you want from me? What do you want? I can't want nothing from you. You have to be willing. That's why it's so hard being a spiritual person in this time, because you guys favor the rich already. That's why the rich is getting richer, because the poor keeps pouring into the rich because you favor them, right? But when a poor person come with a great idea, it's poppycock because that's a poor person, right? Ain't nobody trying to invest in a poor person. Who you think you are, right? Unless you see that poor person next to a rich person, then you like, oh shit, you must be somebody, right? But in all reality, y'all won't even try to have the discernment for what sounds like a great you know what I mean? Like, if we're gonna idolize each other, why not idolize a greater image of us? Why do we idolize the worst images of us? Is that to make us feel better about ourselves? You know? What is going on in this world where we want to have the worst reflection of ourselves idolized so we can feel better about ourselves?
What are the primary goals and methods used by the NAA and power elite in their quest to fulfill the Luciferian covenant and install the New World Order, a totalitarian and dystopian nightmare of consciousness enslavement? Many people still believe that the current state of world suffering, poverty, disease and violence was created accidentally, and that what we see today in the global scape was the organic evolution of humanity since the industrial age. This is inaccurate. The power elite families have methodically and patiently grown their global agenda through specific objectives, which they sought to create through the use of social engineering and hidden technological mind control, along with gaining surveillance over our every move. Let's review a brief summation of these goals. See main goals of the power elite.
And see, here's the thing. Like, when you have a great mind, you can see this take place even in your life. Like the programming, how when we were kids, they structured us to, want to get out there in the world and go play with toys and so on and so forth, because they was forming the world. And then when it changed and we started seeing them push like social media on our kids and push like YouTube and all these other things, like kids was learning how to tie ropes to hang themselves in cartoons. Like, when you start looking at like what they were implementing in SpongeBob, look at SpongeBob right now. Big got, big got, big got, SpongeBob pants okay, big got, sponge, like, that is a chant. The got is already out there as a term for the gap in between the legs of a woman, or like a butt, voluptuous, like the got in between the legs. Like, so it's literally already out there what a big got is, right? So when you implement that into a kid's cartoon, on top of that, did you see the outfit that she had on? Literally see through everything, with the panties and the bra showing at a Nickelodeon release. What are we talking about here? It's right there in our face. The mind manipulation, it's right there. It's right there. The grooming system is right there. It's all right there. Even with social media, look, you got Blueface going viral. You got all of these characters that don't know how to act. They're jumping on each other at events. They don't have no decorum. That's the pages that they made get numbers. All these kids that don't know how to act. Look at Rakai. Look at how his mouth is. That's why our youth talk to us like that. We in a world that we don't understand, and we're looking for respect in a world that don't respect itself. What are we talking about? That's why everything is so upside down. That's why everything seems asinine or redundant, because it is asinine and redundant. Everybody's running around trying to demand respect, but nobody's being respectful. How the fuck? Excuse me. How is that possible? Make it make sense. Huh? Everybody out here doing demonic shit, but then trying to judge somebody else for the shit that they doing. Make it make sense. They know what they doing. They know they using. See, they mad because they not linked into every vessel. You remember? Okay, let's use this reference for instance. You remember in X-Men, he had the ability to to hook up to what was called cerebral. Remember that? He will hook himself up to cerebral, right? So that cerebral allowed him to see every mutant, right? Cerebral allowed him to see and sense every mutant, right? But when he had got the enhancement, right? Not the enhancement, but when that other dude that was stronger took over, what did he do? He changed it so that way he can find every human. Remember? Remember? So they changed the frequency of locating every mutant and then changed it to locating every human. Right? Right? Like changing the channel, the network to try to find the frequency of the brain of mankind in order to. Do you get what I'm saying? Huh? Do you get what I'm saying? So that's why I say like, pay attention because this is it's simple, you know? It's simple. This to me, this is almost child's play. It's almost like I've seen this all play out already before, right? Now I can get into the details of it, but you're not really going to see it until it all start playing out, right? And then if I am to, say certain things of it, then it's like, oh, well, da, 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 da. Like, no, I don't want to speak certain things into existence in hopes because I know that everything can change, right? Everything can change. And here's why everything can change because the collective mind can change. If we can change the collective mind, then we don't have to worry about certain things. We could just watch that change take place just by changing the collective. And no one knows who actually holds the most power in the collective or in the sky, as you would say, because this is when you come into your collective mind. So people are coming out of their personal minds right now and going into a collective mind. Some of y'all like the collective y'all in. It seems like the collective y'all in are winning. You know what I mean? Some of us know the truth and we know, like, okay, even though it seems like my collective is not winning, we're actually winning right now, you know? So I know, like, the love and laughter and light collective that I'm a part of, I know we're winning right now. You know what I mean? I know we're winning right now, right? It might look like the lust, the greed, the gluttony, the money manipulation. It might look like they're winning, but they're not. Okay? It just looks like they are winning because they do that for the carnal gain. We do it for spiritual growth. Spiritual growth don't come with, you know, it comes with rewards. It comes with, a peace of mind. You know what I mean? I don't have to, look over my back. I don't have to do certain things. I'm not running from nobody that I did wrong. I'm not out there doing fucked up shit to like, do you get what I'm saying? Like all these people, they know that money that they got, it's got something attached to it. You know what I mean? They know all the things that they out there doing has got something attached to it. And this goes especially to those content creators out there the Danny Robinsons, the Jaguar Wrights, all of those pages that had a chance to help people and hindered them. All of those pages that had a chance to build but tore down. All of those pages that had a chance to unify but divided. This goes to all of those pages. You have a special karma coming to you because you stop other people during the time of ascension. And you stop yourself too because you allowed someone else to pay you monetization to stop other people from growing. And they come to you and they say, I can help grow your page and I can show you how to do it. And then they put you in conflict with people. And then they have certain people come in your room and gift you and send you money. And you think you win it. As long as you keep on tearing down people that they want you to tear down, it's going to look like you winning. But at some point, you're going to have a Dave Chappelle moment. And you might find yourself in Africa thinking, are people laughing with me or are people laughing at me?
When one has control over the thoughts of one's mind, one has control over the direction and actions of the physical body, all of its parts, and reclaiming of the soul energies. Whoever controls the mind controls the soul. Mind control is used to form socially acceptable belief systems and shape value systems to which are used to control the masses to enslave themselves on planet Earth. God, religious violence, gender issues, financial and debt enslavement, consumptive modeling, misogyny and sexuality are the most mind-controlled and manipulated belief systems promoted by the NAA and their human power elite to continue their enslavement and vampirism of humanity and planetary resources. 1. Mind control is used to form socially acceptable belief systems and shape anti-human value systems in the death culture, which direct thoughts that are in contradiction to each other, like war and killing for peace. As long as the planet is at war with itself, and humanity thinks we are at war with each other, we feed into the mind control system of the NAA, which allows them to continue the vampirism of planetary resources. Cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the uncomfortable tension that exists when holding two conflicting thoughts in the mind at the same time, or it is the tension that exists between the actions of the mind going against the actions of the heart, or going against what we know to be true. It is the state of incoherence or inconsistency within our thinking, when conflicting thoughts surface into the mind and cannot be reconciled, clarified, or neutralized. The controllers use sophisticated global mind control agendas and psychological warfare to intentionally target the masses in which to weaponize their personal belief systems to reject truth and accept lies through their own mental state of cognitive dissonance. The inconsistency between what people believe and how they behave motivates them to engage in actions that will help minimize feelings of discomfort. People attempt to relieve this inner tension in different ways, such as by rejecting, explaining away, denying facts, or avoiding new information. 2.
Now, if you don't know what that means, it's like it's when your logic and your when stuff don't logically make sense. You're still constantly doing the operation out of the feelings and emotions, or out of whatever you might be protecting. It could be someone else's feelings and emotions that you find yourself going through repetitive things that logically don't make sense, right? It's like constantly being with someone that you argue with. It doesn't make sense, so it's like you're constantly doing it, but you're frustrated with yourself because it logically don't make sense. So your heart is not aligned with your mind, right? And a lot of these different games that are played, it's psychological. It's psychological warfare. They're trying to make it seem like you don't know what's going on and you this and this. Like it's all based off of the manipulation of your mind, right? So they try to get little pieces of what your endeavors are, what your dreams are, what your wants are, and then they hold you in content with cohortions of the heart, right? So it's like these are methods that are used. They always use these methods, This is why the ego has to go, right? Because this is where they use the ego against you, right? This is where your unconscious mind, abuse, trauma, shock, devastation comes in, right? This is where your instinctive mind, unworthiness, shame, guilt, lack of trust, self doubt, betrayal, abandonment, anger, rage, fear, entrapment, enslavement. This is where that is, right? And then the house of ego, which is your conscious mind. So after they fraction and fragment all of this stuff, and that usually comes from like maybe being in a system, being put in DIFAS, welfare, so on and so forth. They had different trauma treatments that they would send us through in order to build this type of fucking person that you're living in your ego with addiction, with lust, with wrath, with rage, with vengeance, with greed, with envy, with jealousy, with gluttony, with waste, laziness, discriminate, discouragement, pride. It takes a lot for them to build this type of vessel for someone to live in their ego. It takes a lot of trauma and bullshit. You have to go through this. And that's that's them building the house of ego. Oh shit.
In order to understand the internal structures of ego, which we also refer to as houses of ego, it requires the awareness that there are three main layers: the first chakra of the unconscious mind, the second chakra of the instinctual mind, and the third chakra of the conscious mind. The three layers of mind work together to serve the functions of the ego in all human beings. Each energetic layer has separate functions, yet all three layers are interconnected and directly impact each other. As we learn about the layers in the internal structure of the ego, this clarifies the purpose of identifying what the ego is and how it operates within us. When we understand how ego filters operates inside our mind, we are better equipped to heal the energetic imbalances stemming from the negative ego or predator mind. 1. 1D memory storage. Unconscious mind. 1. Abuse. 2. Trauma. 3. Shock. 4. Devastation. First internal layer. This is the root layer of our unconscious mind, and it functions like a hard drive for the ego. In this hard drive is the cellular memory storage from all of one's life streams. This means that cellular memories from past lives, present lives, and future lives may all be stored in this memory hard drive. These memories are not given value when they are recorded, whether one may perceive them as good or bad. These many multiple memories are stored on the root hard drive of every human being. Whether one was a fetus, baby, in between lifetimes, or unconscious when the body suffered abuse, it was recorded in one's memory storage, whether one currently remembers that event consciously or not. Because the planet was invaded and our individual memory and identity erased from those tragic events, most all human beings have four main areas of cellular memory record in their unconscious mind at varying degrees. Those four main areas are abuse, trauma, shock, and devastation. Some people will feel these painful memories but not know what caused them or where they came from. Others will suffer from shock and will have shut these memories down completely as a coping mechanism. Others are very successful clearing these memories through emotional clearing practices such as with hypnosis and past life regression. Since this 1D unconscious mind controls our autonomic nervous system and autonomic bodily functions, unhealed memory trauma in these four main areas creates many kinds of physical symptoms and disease. These devastating memories have been partially described in Twisted Half-Truths in the Fall of Humankind, or the Genesis story of Adam and Eve in the Bible. Starseeds and indigos have an Earth mission to heal these memories and timelines in a multitude of ways. 2D walls of separation. Instinctual mind. 1. Unworthiness. 2. Shame/guilt. 3. Lack of trust/self-doubt. 4. Betrayal/abandonment. 5. Anger/rage. 6. Fear. 7. Entrapment/enslavement. Second internal layer. This is the instinctual layer of ego, which for many people remains a part of the unconscious mind, as many do not pay attention to the cause of their instinctual drives or addictions. The first part of healing is to be willing to pay attention to drives, though dedicated self-awareness. The second layer is directly impacted by the first layer to the degree the painful memory is experienced in the person's hard drive. This second layer could also be called the pain body. It is the location where unresolved pain memories will manifest as instinctual drives within the person's ego. If the 1D storage memories are not identified or cleared, the pain of these memories creates walls of separation in the 2D layer as a pain body. The pain body further creates walls of separation, which manifest in the ego as 7 primary mental and emotional states identified above. These walls of separation isolate the ego self in the person, and as the person identifies with that ego state, they become disconnected from their inner spirit. This disconnection from the inner spirit creates a wall where another part of the ego identity may split off and may hide itself. This identity could have been created when one is a baby, a 6-year-old child, teenager, or even in other timelines. This phenomenon is called ego subpersonalities, and they may be hidden behind the walls as a result from deeply experienced trauma. These traumatized subpersonalities also hold a fragment of our spiritual energy. The goal of satanic ritual abuse, SRA, is to intentionally create these traumatized subpersonalities which fragment the mind and spiritual body, thereby causing harm to the internal energy structures of the person's aura. The current way this is enforced en masse on planet Earth by the NAA is through the victim/victimizer software program. When we are separated from our inner spirit, we are disconnected from our experience with God's source. The result is more pain, disconnection, and disease, which exacerbates the ego walls and perpetuates the cycle of misery. The goal of our inner spirit is to find and locate those subpersonalities, to heal them, reclaim them as children of God, so that the spiritual light can be reintegrated and brought back into wholeness.
I was just sitting here thinking of so many different ways of how they traumatize and trauma bond, and how different people, use entrapment, ways of just trapping you in that lower vibration of yourself. And I don't know, maybe people do it unknowingly. Maybe we are like, maybe you don't even know that you're in this operation. You know what I mean?
3D houses of ego. Conscious mind. 1. Addiction/lust. 2. Wrath/rage/vengeance. 3. Greed/avarice. 4. Envy/jealousy. 5. Gluttony/waste. 6. Laziness/discouragement. 7. Pride/plus or minus self-importance. Third internal layer. This is the conscious mind layer of the ego, of which we all perceive as a self or personality. If one pays attention to their conscious thoughts, one becomes aware if they are having negative ego thoughts as defined above by the 7 houses of ego. All houses of ego are formed by making judgments of people and the external circumstances. The third layer is directly impacted by the first and second layer to the degree the painful memory has created walls of separation and traumatized subpersonalities. If the main areas of the walls of separation are not dismantled and subpersonalities brought into transparency for healing, these hidden influences control and manipulate the strength and power within the person's houses of ego. Essentially, the more weak and in pain a person is, the more strong their walls of separation, pain body, which create the judgments which build the houses of ego. In most cases, the houses are also created as a coping mechanism to deal with the harshness experienced in the 3D world. The houses of ego are a direct rejection of God's spirit and repel the Christos spirit from dwelling within one's body. If the houses of ego are extremely strong and the person replays its characteristic behavior repeatedly, that ego behavior builds an internal house, which then attracts a spirit. As example, if a person has an addiction problem sourcing from unhealed trauma and replays the addictive behavior repeatedly, a house of addiction will be built as an internal structure of the ego mind. Once that house of ego is built internally, it attracts a spirit, the same consciousness energy that will match the vibrational quality in the internal house. The spirit of addiction is a demonic spirit. So as one builds a house of addiction inside their mind and body, it attracts a demonic spirit to dwell within their house. House. As the laws of energetic structure states, one has built an internal house and has thus created the energetic agreement for a demonic spirit to dwell inside that house. This is the consensual agreement that unaware humans make for demonic spirits to dwell inside their body, and then later, the consent they give the predator force to use their body as a dark portal. 2.
See? And this is how you give in to the darkness, because you're building these houses that they dwell in. The only way to stop is to stop building these houses that they dwell in. Stop creating a structure inside yourself in these operations of ego, pride, so on and so forth, gluttony, lust. These are the things that you have to fight and stop in order to fight back of building these houses inside yourself. Because once one of these demonic entities is dwelling in that house inside you, later it's going to use your vessel to do its demonic things. And you're going to sit there and say, the devil made me do it. I was outside myself. Something took over me, blah, 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 blah. It's MK Ultra. Da, 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 da. No, it's because you built these houses of ego with inside yourself. You know? You built these houses of ego inside yourself. And this is where, you know, the Allison Crawley stuff comes in. This is where the imposter comes in. This is where Jaguar Wright comes in, because she's an imposter spirit. Listen to how the imposter spirits operate. You'll see that that the Avengers, they're imposter spirits. Listen to how the imposter spirits operates. And then I want y'all to put the names in the chat of the people who y'all came across that are imposter spirits.
An imposter is defined as any entity or human being that is saying words or expressions, or making representations that it does not embody, nor comprehend, nor behave or act in accordance with. A person who pretends to be someone else in order to deceive others, especially for fraudulent gain. An imposter spirit is the Luciferian or satanic spirit which promotes false light authority and anti-life architecture through deception, lies of omission, manipulation with malice to promote intentional harm, death, or destruction to serve its personal agenda. These belief systems are the basis which forms the negative ego and was manifested out of the predator mind of the Orion group. This imposter spirit energy was inserted and imprinted as our false parent, and the spiritual betrayal we have experienced in our heart and soul due to this fact has been crushing for many. Because of the timeline of the imposter invasion, the false parent has manifested physically, ancestrally, genetically, and energetically, spiritually, throughout our sense of identity. Without our true spiritual identity and being incarnated into an enslaved reality deception, humanity has existed in a severe identity crisis, unaware of its purpose, unaware of being interfered with in its inner source connection. We were tricked into believing the imposter spirit's values and purpose was one of benevolence and love for humanity, when its overall hidden motivation is to enslave and harm us. We will see this revelation of the imposter spirit and false parent ripple throughout all aspects of our societal leadership, and we will need to be strong spiritually and in our personal faith to be able to see the authentic truth. The imposter spirit has hid inside our schools, governments, hospitals, careers, leadership, family members, things we hold most sacred, and finally, even inside of us. We believed this false parent spirit loved us and cared for us, and we are seeing that is not really true. The imposter spirit is not capable or equipped to know true love or benevolence towards life, towards children, towards humanitarian values. Therefore, with this pattern surfacing, this is a very hard and confusing time for humanity to reach this inner spiritual revelation in all areas and walks of life. The mainstreaming of Satanism and the mainstreaming of Luciferianism are the current dominant cultures that are being methodically and secretly constructed through an array of social engineering experiments. 1. Discerning spirits. Most people are unaware there are dark spirits that are assigned certain purposes by the humans and non-humans who evoke them. We live in a multidimensional world with every kind of spirit force one could imagine. There are spirits of hate, spirits of rape, spirits of poverty, and spirits of pedophilia. We do not want to communicate with these spirits unless we are qualified to perform deliverance, transiting. Most of these collective forces of spirits were earthly humans once, who over time were bound to a consciousness theme, from their own repeated actions of committing the same. It is important to comprehend that absolutely everything on the planet has some type of consciousness or spirit. When you observe it operating en masse in the world, then it means there is a type of consciousness spirit behind that action. There are dark spirits, and there are truth and light spirits. These lower spirits are manipulated and embodied by people. This is the nature of consciousness, so it is important to discern the nature of spirit forces. 2. Aleister Crowley. In ES Ascension terms, we refer to these power grids as the Thoth grids or Phoenix grid as well as black magic grids, and that Aleister Crowley is the alien contactee that served the Armageddon software timelines and was manipulated to enforce the black magician archetype for satanic forces to increase SRA on the Earth. Crowley's archetype is synonymous with black magician as his massive negative ego was exploited from his previous incarnation as a Solar Templar Lord in Atlantis. Crowley was used to influence people to make Satanism extremely popular on the Earth, mostly as a reaction to the NAA religions that were losing popularity for mind controlling the masses. The NAA was interested to control the Middle East completely, and used the area of original NAA invasion to manipulate Crowley into becoming their poster boy for activating their replicated creation code, the Baphomet, and its feed lines into the parasitic imposter spirits. Reading the imposter spirit its rights. Open Entity Transit Portal. Feel if this is guided and...
Now, you might say, what does this mean? You see it. You see what it means. It's the reason why we see this operation is because the spirit of that operation is running wild. If we see a high level of edophilia, it's because that spirit is running wild. If we see a high level of unaliving, it's because that spirit is running wild and it's running through people. They made a movie about it with Denzel Washington back in the day where like the devil was jumping in and out of all of these different people, just, you know what I mean? And this is probably why our parents said stuff like, or, you know, my grandparents might have said, like, if you only knew what blew in the wind, you know, these are the energies and entities that move amongst us. And we allow entry through our vessel by giving in or feeding these different houses that they fester in. So the more we feed these houses that they fester in, the stronger these demonic entities get inside of our vessel, and then they can take over your vessel. Huh? Huh? Yeah. That's how this happens. You're building this energy up. Why do you think they tell you that, like, you know, certain levels of energy can only happen in a house that's arguing or, you know, fighting, and then they have paranormal activity in that house? Because the energy, the vibrational frequency.
Many unconscious human beings are totally unaware they are carrying dead energy, displaced entities, negative alien implants, unaware that they are soul disconnected and mind controlled to limit further consciousness expansion. In other terms, this is enslavement of the person without their consent. This is a form of possession and is the servitude or bondage to the imposter spirit. An imposter spirit can be Luciferian or satanic spirits. This is how spiritual energetic enslavement is manifested. If this persists, combined with continued destructive behavior to the self and others that are repeated as life patterns, the person becomes sucked into a density of painfully low self-esteem, phobias, fears, and addictions. Most of the time that will include layers of astral debris, displaced entities, impersonal elemental forces, and sometimes includes full demonic possession. Being possessed does not generally mean you are levitating off the bed or acting demonic. There is absolutely no shame or guilt applied to this state unless the suffering person applies it from their own state of fragmented confusion. It is through the possession of one's body of which the suffering and pain is greatly increased, until this possession is removed and cleared from your person. There are a million different variations of possession possible. However, the only possibility to evict these possessions is to get clear within yourself, and learn that you have the power to heal yourself and claim your energetic sovereignty and freedom. GSF behavior. When one learns to create the space inside to communicate clearly and embody one's spiritual source through cultivation of virtues, one can begin the road to personal freedom and permanent release of suffering. SPE. Suppressor Parasite Entity. SPE Genetic Artificial Intelligence drones or Archons sent by higher-ups in the negative alien agenda and those that are sourced from the imposter spirit force. They are mind and body parasites.
You might be wondering like how these parasites work, how do they enter our body? Well, I mean, you do buy your food from supermarkets, you do buy stuff from fast food restaurants. We already know about monsters inside of us. So just think, through that. And, uh, if you don't want to believe me, you can go back and watch Cat Williams. Cat Williams on the Joe Rogan show when he talked about the DNA and infusing, he said, we had to add something to infuse with. It needed to infuse an infuser. And that's when Joe Rogan was asking him about demonic possessions and so on and so forth. And he said, well, we had to have something to fuse into the DNA. So what do you think we've used to infuse? The demonic entities building the houses of ego. Maybe he didn't understand what he was saying because he was informed to say these things. So he didn't really know what he was saying about that whole thing, right? But that's how they infuse, so on and so forth. So love is love. Namaste, ashe, salutations. Glad you guys were here. Always happy to be here. If nobody told you that they love you today, let me be the first but not the last to tell you that I love you. Remember, one's image of oneself should be greater than reality. If you're not thinking highly of yourself, nobody else is going to think highly of you. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Replay gang, do your thing. And I just hope you guys enjoyed the knowledge that we spread, so on and so forth. I want to make the classes bigger. I want to try to start breaking this stuff down into lessons. I want to put more effort into this, but financially, I'm not at that place yet. I want to build the community. I want to start doing the homestead, but I haven't found that collective yet here in America. I know that my content is being suppressed. I know that my image is being tarnished. I know that people are trying to steal my likeness and image and at the same time tear me down in it all. But I'm going to keep on pushing towards a better unity, a better approach, a more unconditional, loving method. And I just look forward to making a connection with people. I'm going to start the journey soon again, get back in the car and start driving to people. Might even, come to your house. I don't know. But I want to get back out there to reaching people, making the connection with people and get back to building that community again.
Special thing, gonna make you sing. Wanna know when you know it's real. Makes you cry, what you can't deny is more than sex appeal. Take me up with air that's higher. Pick me up, water, fire. Boom, boom, boom. There goes the beat of love. Goes the beat of love. You can feel it in your heart. It was there right from the start. Boom, boom, boom. There goes the beat of love. What a treasure, love. So much pleasure, love. Is I have, I need. Is an aura change. Has an infinite range. From above is guaranteed. So take me up with air that's higher and pick me up, water, fire. Boom, boom, boom. There goes the beat of love. Boom, boom, boom. It echoes the beat of love. You can feel it in your heart. It was there right from the start. Boom, boom, boom. There goes the beat of love. you gon' crave more and more love. There goes the beat of love. There goes the beat of love. You can feel it in your heart. It was there right from the start. Boom, boom, boom. There goes the beat of love. Boom, boom. There goes the beat of love. Boom, boom, boom. There goes the beat of love. You can feel it in your heart. It was there right from the start. Boom, boom, boom. There goes the beat of love. Boom, boom, boom. There goes the beat of love.